Black Panther was directed by Ryan Coogler and is the 18th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and focuses around King T'Challa, who after the death of his father in Captain America Civil War, returns home to Wakanda as king to rule the nation. However, he is met with a bit of uproar by Michael B. Jordan's villainous Erik Killmonger, who is trying to challenge his reign of power by showing him his own beliefs, and this puts a lot of risk in T'Challa's hands. This movie really highlights so much that's great about African culture. This film explores all of the different elements, and you could see the research that the filmmakers actually did into African culture to be implemented into this film. You can see it in every single shot. All of these civilians, all the costumes that they wear are bright and colourful and expressive. The colour palette of the movie overall is very bright and very vibrant, and all the locations, all the different colour schemes, it's all very much like an African culture. And also the way that this movie is going to be such a big, bold move for African American actors and actresses in films is quite inspiring. We haven't had a film with a cast like this, which is just chock filled with African American actors and actresses. It's quite a revolutionary film in that respect, and I think that film definitely deserves credit just for that alone. Chadwick Boseman is absolutely fantastic as Black Panther. We saw that in Captain America Civil War, but I even knew that before that film because I saw Chadwick Boseman in the film Get On Up, where he played James Brown incredibly well. And as T'Challa, he's just this very regal, very empowering performance and very empowering screen presence when he's on there. You can see him. He does feel like a king, he feels like a ruler of this country, of this fictional country, and you could see that he really does have so much power, but he's a very good king, he's a very kind king. He's not exactly someone who's just going to use his power and wealth and money and strength to just take away from everyone else. He is there for Wakanda, and though obviously he has other issues going on, he's still focusing on being the best king he can for Wakanda. I also want to mention Leticia Wright, who plays Shuri, who is T'Challa's younger sister. She is easily the standout of this film, and I believe she's in Avengers Infinity War, which makes me so happy because she is so good in this film. She is kind of the comedic character of the movie. She has quite a lot of comedic moments, especially to do with her brother, T'Challa, and she's just this technological, wizard. She's so incredible at what she does. And I just really liked her character, the way that her character interacts with others, the way she was brought into the story, the way she had influence over certain other characters. She was really cool, and also her background makes her awesome, and I'm glad she's going to be in Infinity War because she is a great addition to the MCU. I also would like to talk about Martin Freeman's Everett Ross, who returns in this film from Captain America Civil War. I'm a huge fan of Martin Freeman. As someone who is a British person, I knew him originally from The Office UK back in 2001. I've been a huge fan of Martin Freeman ever since then, and I followed his career fairly closely, and to see him in this was just fantastic. I loved him in Civil War. I love his character in this franchise, so I was very happy to see him return. And in this film, he plays a very different version of the character because while in Captain America Civil War he was very cocky and very arrogant because he was very much in control, here he's kind of a fish out of water, and that makes him a lot more accepting. Now, he's may not going to be in the film, because when I looked at the trailer, I thought he's not going to be in this film barely at all, one, maybe two scenes, but he's actually in the movie for a fair amount, and I was very happy to see that. However, this does lead me into a complaint. He doesn't really have a purpose. There's a certain moment in the film, you'll know it when you see it, where the purpose for Martin Freeman's character is kind of lost, and for the rest of the film, he's just kind of there. And that was a shame, but I still think he's great, and Martin Freeman gives a fantastic performance, as always. Let's talk about Erik Killmonger. Now, he has had a lot of hype surrounding him going into this movie because people have been saying he is the Marvel's answer to Heath Ledger's Joker, and while I don't think that's quite fair because that is a huge shoe to fill, I just don't feel like he did reach, those levels. However, within the grounds of the MCU, this is definitely one of the best villains we have seen yet. His motivations are clear. You believe in why he's doing what he's doing. You can see why he thinks he's right. You can see that although he's evil and he is killing people, and he's doing typical villain things, the reason why he's doing it actually makes you side with him a little bit. And he is kind of right. And they are the best kind of villains, I think. The villains that aren't necessarily just flat out evil, but they're doing it for a certain reason, and a reason that makes sense. And you can actually almost agree with them on a level. And though you may not agree with, obviously, all the killing that's going on, you could agree with the reason that's causing the killing. And that's very much true with Erik Killmonger. And also Michael B. Jordan, who is a phenomenal actor, is so good as Killmonger. Perfect choice, and I really enjoyed his villain in the movie. And what I said, I think he's definitely up there with like Loki and the Vulture as the best villains of the MCU. The world building is like nothing else. I mean, the way that you really get to just delve into Wakanda, you really get to dive deep into the world of this movie. You get to experience all the culture, you get to experience all the different aspects of life that come with living in Wakanda, and that's exactly what I wanted to see. Wakanda is probably one of my favourite places in the Marvel Universe, and I'm so happy we're now getting it within the MCU. So to see it fully explored like that was a dream come true for me, and that's what made this movie just even more better than it already was. And as I sort of mentioned earlier, the visual style and the colour palette and the vibrant of Wakanda is just, it's so beautiful. This movie is just mind-blowing with how it's so visually beautiful. The visual style of Wakanda is like nothing else you've seen in the MCU, because the MCU has always looked a bit bland. Like the films, particularly because of the colour palette and because of the cameras they've used, have always been a bit bland looking. This is not the case with Black Panther and Wakanda. This world is so bright, and the contrasting colours, the blacks and the whites are very defined, and it just helps add to this very colourful world that you're visiting when watching this movie, and it emphasises it ever more. Also, I have to talk about Ryan Coogler, who is the director of this movie. This film is beautifully directed, absolutely beautifully directed. This is probably the best directed Marvel film, and that's saying something when you've got the Russo brothers directing, two of them so far. And the way Ryan Coogler, he's 3 for 3 now for me. Fruitvale Station, Creed, and now Black Panther. The way that he is able to helm the action shots, which, although there's not as much action in the film as you may think there should be, the way he does helm it is very, very special. And the way the camera just slowly moves through Wakanda as you travel through it, again, just helps you embrace and indulge in all that this movie has to offer. And that is a massive credit to Ryan Coogler. And it's amazing because he's so young. Like, he's only like 32, something like that. And he's making this great caliber of films at that age is very inspiring, especially to someone like me who would love to go into the film industry and making films. That's something that is incredibly inspiring to many aspiring filmmakers across the world, and I think that is fantastic on Ryan Coogler's part, and he's probably one of my favourite working directors now today. Also, I do have to give full props to the story and the script of this film for making a very bold decision. Obviously, no spoilers here, but the movie about halfway through makes a very bold decision that I didn't expect them to do, and I thought, that's impressive. I didn't see that coming, and it's a very similar twist to what happens in The Dark Knight Rises, and it's very similar to that, and I gave The Dark Knight Rises massive props for doing this one thing, and Black Panther does a very similar thing, and I didn't see it coming, so I have to give them props for that. It was a great moment, and again, it was ballsy. So of course, in any Marvel Cinematic Universe movie review, you have to address, is this connected to the other ones, and how much connected is it? Can you watch it without seeing any of the others? And with most of them, obviously, they are connected in some way, but Black Panther is one of the most detached and most separate ones from the MCU. If you have not seen any other MCU film, it won't matter to you. This movie completely stands on its own in its story and in its characters. Yes, there is a little bit of relation to Captain America Civil War, because that was, of course, the film that introduced Black Panther into the MCU. And the trigger for him becoming the King of Wakanda and becoming the Black Panther was fully shown in Civil War, but you also get to see that again in Black Panther, so it's not really that bad. And if you've never seen Civil War, or you've never seen any other film in the MCU, you will be completely getting the gist of Black Panther. I watched it with someone who has only seen like the past 3 Marvel films, and he totally understood what was going on. It's perfectly fine for that. So if you haven't seen any of the others, don't worry about it, you'll get the gist of this film completely. And what about the post-credit scenes? Well, of course, no spoilers, I'm not going to spoil for you what they are, but there are two, so keep that in mind. Like most Marvel movies, there are two. There's a mid-credit scene and an end-credit scene, and they are both very good. One of them is a bit smaller in scale, the other one hints at something bigger to come, and it's the one at the very end, which obviously that's normally the bigger one. I predicted it, so I was very happy about that. I haven't actually gone on record and said what I predicted, but in my head I had an idea of what it was going to be, and I was correct. So I was very happy about that. But of course, they are very awesome post-credit scenes, and they're actually, I will say this, no spoilers again, but one of them isn't a joke, which I quite enjoyed, because a lot of them, you get one serious one and then you get a jokey one. But because Black Panther's not necessarily the jokey Marvel film, although it does have a lot of comedy in it, it's not the fully comedy Marvel film like, say, Thor Ragnarok was. So the post-credit scenes don't become jokes, which I really appreciated. So on the whole, Black Panther was an absolutely phenomenal addition to the MCU and definitely one of my favourites of all time. I think this movie is not necessarily groundbreaking like some people were saying going into it. I feel that this movie does have so much hype that perhaps it is going to drag it down, perhaps later on down the line, similar to what happened to Wonder Woman. Because this movie, going into it, is very similar to Wonder Woman in the sense that people think it's revolutionary and it's groundbreaking. It's not groundbreaking, it's not revolutionary, but with all that said, it's a fantastic film in its own right, and that is all you really need to care about when watching this movie is, is it groundbreaking? No. Is it great? Yes. You will have so much fun watching it. It has so many great moments, the action's fantastic, the characters are brilliant. This has one of the best casts of any MCU film. The message, the motives, the villain, the world, it's so well put together. And again, I think this is one of the best additions in the MCU, probably top 3, definitely top 5. It's so fantastic, and the fact that this is the 18th film by Marvel Studios, and we haven't necessarily had an outright terrible one yet, that is a massive achievement. And now, for me, it's just rolling on into Infinity War. So, did you guys see Black Panther? If you did, tell me in the comment section what you thought about it, what you liked, what you didn't. Let's get a discussion going about this movie in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, please remember to be respectful. And subscribe to The British Critic for more movie reviews and movie-related videos.